back to another episode of Strip by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fun naked people in between. So it's a COVID mini-series for obviously my podcast, but this is the last episode for the COVID mini-series. We're going to be pivoting towards a different approach as well for some extra bonus episodes, but I am so excited to have a really fun guest on today. She just retired from the stripping game. I'm super excited to have her on. And of course, this podcast covers different areas of sex work, different stages where sex workers are in their careers. And today we're going to be talking about retirement. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to the audience former dancer, Maddy Moore. Hello.
Hi.
It's so good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're so very welcome. And congratulations on your very recent retirement.
Thank you.
How does that feel for you?
It feels good. Sometimes I feel like a little sad, I guess, when I see like other people posting about dancing, so it kind of makes me miss it just a little bit, but yeah. I'm happy at the same time. Where I'm going in my life, it's still exciting.
That is super awesome. And again, congratulations. And it must feel...
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. I'm so excited to get into things because I don't personally know you. I don't really know much about you, but we're going to definitely learn. I'm going to be learning along with the audience who you are, what you do, or what you did do. That's so weird to have all this past tense
Yeah.
in this episode. But why don't we go into about like defining who you are, what you did do, and stuff like that in your own words, your own story. Feel free to tell the audience.
Okay. So I was a dancer for a year and a half, so I was pretty new.
Oh, wow.
To it, yeah.
That's a short time span. A year and a half only.
Yeah, well, I had originally, when I first started dancing, my plan was to maybe do about 5 years.
Wow.
And then over the course of the year and a half, just so many different things in my life have changed that have helped me make the decision to finish, I guess, a little bit sooner than planned.
Right. Okay.
In a sense, yeah.
Okay, so that's very cool. I did not know that. That's such a short amount of time. That's so cool.
Yeah, I was pretty new.
Well, good for you for reaching your goals and stuff. But let's get into details. Let's get into dirty details. So,
okay, sounds good.
What's your backstory? Where did you come from? Did you have any dance training before? Who are you?
Okay, so I didn't really have any dance training before. When I was younger, I did a bit of high school cheerleading. And,
me too.
One season of competitive cheerleading, and that's probably the only dance maybe experience that I really had.
It counts.
But I always was intrigued to the idea of performing and dancing, so that kind of caught my attention, I guess, in stripping.
Okay, cool. So yeah. Well, cheerleading definitely counts. It's very athletic. FYI.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very competitive as well, and there is a dance portion to that. So, okay, so the idea of performing again kind of drew you into dancing. So, how did you get started? Did you ever do any amateur nights, or did you have a friend maybe, or friends that were doing it?
Yeah, so I guess I had thought a couple of the girls who were dancing on Instagram, they were on my Instagram before, and I was always kind of intrigued in I was in a relationship over the course of a year that I was still thinking about maybe going into it, and it ended up being a pretty bad, rough relationship. So I got out of that and I started serving again, and it wasn't really getting me where I wanted independently. I was still staying at my mom's, I wasn't really getting anywhere. So I went back to the idea of stripping again. I'm maybe I should just message one of these girls and see how they got into it, what's their story. So I did. I messaged one of the girls, and she had told me that same week there is an amateur night at the Penthouse. I was oh, I don't know, that's a couple days away. I don't think I can do that. But she's no, just if you got to do it. She's it took me so many times before I finally did it, and if I had done it sooner, I would have, like I should have, or whatever, something like that. So I was like, okay, fuck it, I guess I'll do it. So I signed up. I got there and I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? Never been on stage before.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
wow.
Totally terrified. So, and then she ended up coming and showing up.
Good.
And she was with the agent at the time. And so I did my show. I had a lot of fun. Like, it was really good. And then afterwards, after all that was over, she came up to the change room. She's like, hey, the agent wants to talk to you. So I go downstairs, and he explains, he's like, oh, I have an open spot at the Caddy Shack this weekend. Do you want to try it out? And I was shocked. So I was like, okay, I guess I should try it. You know, like, I can always see how it goes, and then if it doesn't go well, then I'll just go back to, like, my regular life. So I did it. I tried it, and, like, never looked back. I was like, wow, this is what I was missing out on.
That's awesome. You know what? Good for you for, like, taking the plunge. And it sounds like you have a very, very positive outlook, too, because you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to try it. Got to try it at least once and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you always have this positive outlook in terms of, like, in your general life overall? Just, like, wanting to try new things?
Yeah, I'm generally pretty positive and open to new things and ideas. So yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, definitely stripping is a fun idea for sure. Awesome. So
it's definitely something that I had to become more comfortable with, though. Like, at first, like, I wasn't as comfortable with my body as I am now. Like, stripping has definitely taught me a lot about myself and self-love, and, like, has helped grow me as a person, I guess.
Yeah, totally. So nice that you have that takeaway from it too. It's been it was
such a positive experience for me.
That's awesome. So going back to, so, like, when you were, you know, when you were serving and stuff too, and you were dabbling, and you're in a relationship, and when you were dabbling with the idea, like, shouldn't I, was the motivation more of, like, a monetary push, or, like, what was kind of, like, the reason you really wanted to get into stripping? Was it mostly for financial reasons?
Yeah, so at first it was mostly financial. Okay. I really wanted to get out of my mom's house because I had just broken up with this guy a couple months prior. Like, I think I'd been broken up like 2 or 3 months, and then I got into it.
Yeah, that's a good motivation for sure.
Yeah, so that was my main push there. Was like, I just want to get out of this situation, and that seemed like a very, like, I don't know, I guess, different approach to doing it. I don't know.
No, that makes sense. Everything you're saying totally makes sense. It's all valid.
Yeah. Okay.
And you kind of mentioned too, like, you know, it was a financial motivator at first. So did that change over the course of time then?
Yeah, I mean, after a while, I just was enjoying the complete experience of it, like the traveling, the visiting different places while working. I was kind of just enjoying performing all together. Yeah. And when I did, like, competitions, I was into doing more of those, and just, like, the whole fun of the performing aspect of it.
Right. Yeah. There's so many different facets, and we'll definitely get into that later into the interview too. But so going back to, I guess I'm just kind of going in, like, chronological order here.
Okay. Sometimes I, like, jump around.
No, that's totally cool too. I'm just trying to get more detail out of you. So
okay. Yeah. No problem.
Like, in terms of, okay, so the agent was like, hey, like, we have a booking at Caddy. Let's go. Yeah. Were you nervous at all? Did you know?
Oh my God, I was so nervous.
What to do?
So I didn't, he's like, oh, you have to get a bunch of matching sets. It was, like, a long shift too. So I was kind of just thrown in to, like, here you go, let's do a whole day and night of stripping for the entire weekend. So I didn't, like, really know what to do. I didn't have a lot of, like, matching sets either. So literally an hour before I had to be at Caddy Shack, I went over to the mall and, like, bought, like, a bunch of, like, matching things so that I could do shows in, because I didn't have anything. So yeah, and then when I got there, I was so terrified. I even was talking to the DJ. I'm like, hey, like, super new. Don't mean to freak you out. Kind of nervous. And a lot of the time, like, I had to drink pretty much before I went on stage just to kind of get myself away from the anxiety. Yeah. So that was, like, something that I was doing a lot at the beginning.
Totally. And it's...
to help with my nerves.
Yeah. Totally to ease the nerves for sure. Like, I started pretty much at the Penthouse as well, too, with the amateur nights. And, like, I can totally relate to that. You know, I was like, I'm going to have double Jameson on the rocks right now. Yeah. Like, I'm so scared. I don't know what to do. Like, how did the experience, like your first booking, how did that compare with your first experience at amateur night? Like, how were both of those experiences? Were they pretty similar or were they completely different?
Well, they were kind of different. I mean, with my actual booking, like, I guess you're there and you're working with all these girls, whereas amateur night, everyone's kind of, I guess, on the same level. They're, like, newer. They're just, you know, like, excited for the shows. And whereas if you're working with people, they're experienced, they're already doing this. Luckily, like, the girls that I was working with were very welcoming.
That's awesome.
But it was kind of like nerve-wracking. And when you're at the amateur night, you're doing a show that's in front of a lot of people, whereas say you're doing a day shift at the Caddy, there's maybe 5 people there, and all of a sudden you're nervous because there's less people, and you feel like they can just see every little thing that you're doing. You know, like, I don't know if that made sense.
No, that totally makes sense as well. And, like, plus it's really interesting that how you mentioned that too, like, going from a really big crowd, like, you're really feeding off of that energy, and you also have, like, a friend in the audience too, so it's so good to have that support on you as well. Yeah, and then going from, like, your first booking, like, you don't know what the hell you're doing, there's no one in the audience, like...
Yeah, you're all uncomfortable because there's maybe a couple people, and sometimes they don't clap, and you're like, oh, what am I doing? Am I okay?
It's so true. It, like, really feels like you're under a microscope.
It really does, yeah. Eventually I got over that, but at very first, it was like, oh.
Totally. Like, and how long did it take you to kind of, like, get those nerves out and kind of just, like, get used to the whole shebang?
I think it took me a couple months, like maybe 3 or 4 months for me to get completely comfortable. I would say that was probably also, I was drinking most of the time for those 3 to 4 months too, and then I slowly started to be able to do the job completely sober.
Totally. And that's something, like, I find with a lot of dancers too, because again, I share a similar story, and other dancers I've spoken with on the podcast too, they always turn to the alcohol kind of first to kind of appease the nerves, and then now that I'm finding it's just a lot of dancers are completely stick sober when they dance.
Yeah, a lot of the girls, that's what I guess kind of surprised me a little bit when I first started too, was a lot of the girls are sober, which was really, really cool for me to see, and, like, super motivating in the end.
Totally. Yeah.
So
you find, like, it's such, like, a stereotype too, like, with the media perpetuating these, like, really old kind of portrayals of exotic dancers and strippers, you know, like, oh, they're like coked up, or
it's definitely not like that at all, but some people, I mean, it's not like always that you'll get that response, but some people will still have that, oh, do you guys just party all the time? Like, no, it's not like that at all, really. Like, sometimes, but, like, for the most part, it's not what you think it is.
No. Like, it's fine, you know, like, having a couple shots, like, with your regulars and stuff.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
No. But I feel like most of us really treat the job as super, super professional. Like, you wouldn't really be drunk at your day job or whatever it is that you do, you know?
Definitely. It came to a point, especially when I was working at the downtown clubs and doing, like, longer show times, where I couldn't, like, do a show physically and drink because I would just be so tired right away. So I just wouldn't even bother. I'm like, no, it's going to be too hard for me to do this show if I'm drunk.
Totally. Like, not only just, like, being drunk, but also just, like, physically as well. Like, we're flying basically on these poles.
Yeah, you get tired.
Some people don't understand that, so I'm really glad you brought that up. So you started getting bookings. You were on the circuit then too, traveling and stuff as well.
Yeah, I was on the circuit pretty much right away. I did that booking at Caddy and then just started booking consistently week after week after that.
That's awesome. And that's so, like, it's such a switch from doing, like, a civilian job to how was
Definitely.
that? Yeah, definitely. It's a complete 180. It turns into a very, very physical job, right?
Yeah.
How was that transition from going from a normal civilian job over to stripping?
At first it was a little different, I guess, with like the hours, because a lot of the time when I was serving, I was doing days usually. So I guess working at late at nights and coming home. When I first had the job, I was still at my mom's for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So it was just the coming home like late that was weird, coming back to my mom's place.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a change, but.
And was your mom, like, aware of what you were doing as well, or is that still, like, hush-hush?
Yeah, no, so I told her right away. I told my mom and my sister right away.
Oh, wow, good for you.
So just so that they knew, which I'm really glad that I did that, because one of, like, my ex, the one that I said that was really terrible, he decided to hack my old Facebook and put it on blast for everybody to know.
Of course they did. That's awful. What's wrong with people? Yeah. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry that happened to you. That's really shitty.
Yeah, it's fine. So I ended up being out and whatever, so.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm glad I at least told her and got that out of the way so she didn't find out that way, but. That's
good, yeah, because that's never fun, when that happens. No. Was your family pretty receptive to the whole idea of stripping, or how did they receive it?
Yeah, well, my mom just said as long as I am happy and being safe, then that's all she really cares about.
That's awesome.
And my sister clearly liked the idea because she's a dancer too.
Oh, yeah, there we go. That's awesome.
So yeah.
Was your sister a dancer before you, or were you a dancer before her?
I was a dancer before her.
Oh, okay. There we go. That's cool. That's awesome. So good to have that support.
Yeah, so that was cool. We got to work together sometimes. It was fun.
That's awesome. What about the travel aspect? Because, being here in BC, it might be different in other places because this is a global podcast, but the whole travel aspect can be really, really tiring. How are you able to deal with that physically and mentally, and just being away from your friends and family? How did you cope with that?
So that was something, I guess I was just so focused at first at keeping myself busy that I was completely okay with the idea of being in a different place each week and traveling all the time. Mm-hmm. Eventually that fun and excitement kind of wore off a little bit. Yeah. And then it started to get a little bit more tiring, that sometimes I would come home and I would only have like the Sunday and I would have to go somewhere.
Yeah,
so sometimes
really tiring.
That was a little bit difficult, but I don't know.
That's totally okay.
But like, I don't know, it wasn't that bad. Like, it was good. Like, you got to go to a new place all the time. It was always different.
And I'm sure some places were probably better than others in terms of cities, because like a lot of these clubs are really in small towns, like very, very different than Vancouver. How are those experiences for you?
Yeah, I guess like I went to Campbell River quite a few times, and that one was a little bit harder sometimes.
Oh yeah,
sometimes
in terms of like
because like harder that you can do there to keep yourself busy. Like you go to the gym. Luckily, there's like a gym there that gives the dancers like a free membership while you're staying there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was cool. That kept me busy there, but that was. It was kind of a bit harder in the smaller town places because you don't have a lot to keep yourself busy. Whereas, say, if you go to Kelowna, especially if you're in Kelowna in the summertime,
right,
and you've got like the wineries, you can go boating, you can do like all this fun, like all that fun stuff with all the girls that you're working with, and it's a bit of a different experience.
Totally, yeah, and that could be a lot of fun, obviously. So
yeah, that was my favorite. Kelowna in the summertime, favorite bucket,
best.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that perfect summer glow up? Check out Vancouver on Instagram. She is a top-rated spray tanner in Vancouver, using only vegan and cruelty-free top-tier solutions. Her all-natural, house-made, gold-shimmering finishing powder shines perfectly on stage. Slide into Tancouver's DMs for a tan consultation or to book with her, and mention Strip by Sia for 10% off. You also mentioned earlier on the podcast you started doing stripper competitions. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so the first one I did was the Rookie of the Year contest.
Oh, fun. At the Caddy?
That one was, it was super, super fun. I liked how each night was like a different theme, so everyone kind of, like the paint and the whipped cream and all that fun stuff. So that was a really cool experience for me.
For sure. And like,
yeah.
I know like my own experience. You're like, oh, like, are you interested in doing competition? I'm like, what does this even mean? Like, what do you do? Like,
yeah.
Did you have any idea what you were getting yourself into?
I mean, not really. Like, I had never seen a competition before.
Right.
So I had like asked a couple of my girlfriends that were dancing, like, hey, what's it like? What do you think I should do? Like, different suggestions. And they were helpful with that. So, but like, it's still like, once it actually got down to it, wasn't really like what I was expecting it to be.
Oh,
but
really?
I loved it. Like, the whole competition aspect of it really, really made me happy. Like, it was like a whole fun, you put this whole theme together and you go all out and the crowd loves it. It was
yeah, that's super cool. And how was your experience at the Rookie of the Year competition? How did you do?
I won that competition.
Yay!
So that was really cool and exciting because, like, at that point I had maybe danced not even a year yet.
That's
like, what
awesome.
the heck? What is happening?
So you must have been genuinely shocked when you're like, what?
Yeah. I was like, what the hell? But yeah, it was cool. It was fun.
Did you end up doing any other competitions as well, like Miss Nude BC and stuff like that?
So I did the Miss Nude West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
That one I placed third in.
Oh, good.
Yes, that was also a really exciting thing. Yeah, I love competitions. So it's fun.
What aspect of the competitions do you love the most? It's the whole, like, the artistic aspect of it.
Yeah. Like, I liked putting on a full show. Like, there's not like clubs, except for maybe when I worked at Brandy's, where you can put on a full theme show and go all out with all that craziness. Like, in your regular bookings, like, you just don't really do that. So that part was really cool, just getting creative with your costumes and music and putting it all together in just like this big theatrical way. Totally.
Yeah, as you said, like there isn't much of an opportunity to do big shows, and I feel like that aspect is totally, unfortunately, like kind of dying in the industry. So
yeah, which I think is kind of sad because that's like what a lot of people seem to enjoy.
Yeah,
based on what I've heard from customers, is they like the whole big aspect of it. So
yeah, people like a big show, and like even like myself, like coming to the clubs and stuff too, it's so nice to see that.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
I know, lots of VIPing and stuff nowadays. That's kind of what the focus is. So which is fine. That's another thing. How about, like, why don't we pivot the conversation over to the topic of COVID, because obviously we're still in the pandemic and this is the last episode of the COVID series. I mean, it's still happening, guys, because the COVID series is not going to happen anymore doesn't mean it's over. But, like, were you dancing at all, like, during the right before?
Yes.
Oh, you were?
So
okay.
Tell us. Originally, I had planned on retired. I had my bookings all done for a month, up until April, the first week of April. So I had a full solid list of bookings. I was working at the number 5 actually. Okay. When everything closed down.
Oh my gosh.
So I was there for like the one day. It was Monday. We weren't sure what was going on.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes. Whether we were going to stay open or not. So that was a little bit weird of an experience. And then we're told that same night that we're closing tomorrow. We're not going to be open. So
oh my gosh,
here's your checks.
Oh my gosh, How was that for you, like, receiving that news? Did you, like, kind of have a hunch that it was going to close down? Like,
I mean, I was hoping that it would, but I kind of had a feeling, so I didn't bring, like, my giant suitcase with me like I normally do. I just brought, like, a little bag just in case.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it kind of, like, totally messed up the plans and everything for that.
Oh my gosh.
So that was, it was crazy.
Wow. So then you had to extend, obviously, but, like, so obviously the pandemic hit. How was that downtime for you? What have you been doing with the downtime?
It was actually all right. I ended up staying in the Okanagan.
Nice.
Because we wanted to get away. We felt like it was more constricted here in, like, the Lower Mainland.
Yeah.
So we just went out and stayed. We had a friend who has, like, place, so we stayed up there for probably most of the time, and it was really nice. It was relaxing.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
Did you have, like, a lot of time to reflect in terms of, like, you know, what I'm going to be doing, and do I still want to continue after this? Which you obviously did, but, like, were those thoughts kind of going through your head?
I still had to like reformulate the plan of what I was going to do, since COVID messed up my previous plan. So I had to sit back and think, like, how am I going to make this work? Because even with COVID, like, my original plans just won't work now.
Oh gosh. No.
So I kind of had to reevaluate what I have to do to make everything work the way I kind of want them to, and I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes that makes a lot of sense. That's totally fine too. You always have to readjust, and this kind of fucked up everything, right? So
yeah, so I kind of had to think and change my plans around.
Okay, hopefully didn't fuck it up too much, but I mean.
No, I mean, it just put me, like, in a bit of a different direction.
Okay,
which is fine. Like, eventually, like, I'll still be able to get there. It's just going to be a different way.
Different pathway, yeah. So that's during COVID. And then what about post-COVID? So you decided to do another booking, I guess 1 more week or so, like after COVID. Well, I want to say post-COVID because we're still in COVID. But basically once the club
restrictions?
Yes, post restrictions, phase 2/phase 3. So you did have another booking during this time when the clubs reopened. How was that?
It was really good, actually. I mean, the experience was different. The first day I had to get used to, so at the 5 they have, like, the plexiglass there, and they have little strings, I guess, or things that hang from the ceiling. So the first couple shows I would hit my heel against that, so that was weird. And I guess talking with the customers, like, normally you can hear what they're saying because there's no glass in front of you, but now, like, if they're sitting in the front row and they're trying to say something, you can't always hear what they're saying. Yeah. So, like, sorry, and then you go up to the top. You're like, what did she say? Like, I'm sorry, it's the glass. I can't hear you.
But I'm sure. I mean, hopefully, I would assume that the patrons are a lot more understanding. And stuff as well.
The people that came in, they were a lot more understanding. The week ended up actually being a really good week. I guess people are just really thankful to have this option to go out again. Right. So that was really good. I had a couple regulars come in too, so it was nice.
That's awesome. And I know that I saw, like, on your Instagram, you kind of announced, like, your retirement, sort of, like, this might be this is the last time I'm going to be dancing and stuff. Yeah, so I was still kind of toying in my head whether I was going to do more than a week booking. Originally, I thought maybe I could do another month. But then I thought, with all this craziness going on, and fact that if I don't plan on doing that many more bookings anyways, it might be hard to get myself into all the other clubs, and with all the other girls that need to work and stuff, like, it just seems like it would be too hectic and crazy. Yeah. So I thought, like, I have this really great booking with a great lineup of girls. I was having a really good, so I'm like, hey, I might as well just end it off, like, on a really good note and announce my retirement now, which I'm really glad that I did that way, because it really made me feel good about closing this chapter. Yeah, this chapter of your life. Yeah, for sure. So, like, It's really interesting for you to hear, like, for me to hear that. That's just so nice for you to end that on a high note. Like, how did you come to the decision that retirement was something you wanted to do and something that you want to do immediately?
So I knew from the beginning, like I said before, that I was only going to dance for a short period of time, like originally 5 years. And then over the past year, I kind of started to put plans in place to kind of set me up, I guess, to leave dancing.
Okay.
But then there has been a couple things that have happened in my life personally that had make the decision that it's time to end it now.
Yeah. Was it like a bittersweet moment for you?
Yeah, it definitely would say bittersweet. Yeah, but good. Like, I'm really, really happy with the decision, and I'm really happy with the time and the experience that I had in dancing. So
yeah, that's awesome.
It ended well.
That's good. And how was, like, you said your last week was pretty good and stuff too. What were some of your best memories that you had as a dancer?
Oh my goodness, probably I did a couple with the dancer Devin.
Okay, yeah.
So those were probably like my favorite. We went to LA together once. That was probably my favorite memory, because really got to go and travel anywhere outside of Canada. Yes. So us going there and like visiting these places that I've seen before and getting to do like work at the same time was just like such an amazing experience for me.
That's awesome.
And then working with all these girls that were, a lot of them who have become friends, were like supportive and uplifting, and the whole experience was really good.
That's so nice to hear. I'm so glad to hear all this. It's amazing. Did you have like any like preconceived notions like before you went into dancing, and then have those notions changed after you've now retired from the industry?
Yeah, when I first started, I kind of thought maybe sort of like what you would see in the where girls were like maybe catty, or like it was a real harsh party scene, or like just that type of kind of like image on it. Yeah, but then as soon as that first week that I did started, that changed my perspective on it right away. And going onwards and working with all the different girls and working at all these different clubs and seeing what it definitely changed what I originally thought it might be.
That's awesome. And you know what? Like, there's no one to blame except for the media that has portrayed this image of like, you know, what
they really need to change the narrative on that.
Definitely. Yeah, well, which another reason why I'm doing this podcast, like, share stories and our experiences too, so.
Yeah, definitely.
How about, like, your future plans? Like, what do you have, if you want to share anything that you can share, what do you have planned for the future, post-stripping?
So I have, like, I guess, like, a regular schmegular job.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
that I'm doing and starting pretty quick here. And then while I'm doing that, I've been working over the past couple months to open my own business.
Wow.
So yeah,
congrats.
Thank you. So I'm slowly starting to do that at time, kind of.
That's awesome.
So that's part of the reason why all my plans had to change a little bit because with everything that's going on, it made things a little bit difficult for me to do some of the things that I had wanted to do for it.
In terms of your business?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. It probably like stalled a bunch of things, obviously.
Yeah. So now I've kind of have to take a different approach on it. And that is something that I will probably announce about Instagram.
Okay, that's exciting. Do you have a certain timeline or anything? I mean, this episode's going to be coming out June 28th, so.
No, I don't have a specific timeline yet. With the regular schmegular job that I got, I had to do like a bunch of training and like courses and exams or whatever for it.
Wow.
So I'm pretty focused right now on just finishing that so I can get that started.
Right.
And then I'm going to put my focus back into like launching and how I'm going to handle that.
That's awesome. That's so exciting to hear. Yay.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely wishing you all
I'm
the
pretty
best.
excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to have to share with your followers too. Like, we all want to support you. So the support's definitely going to be there. So good on you.
Thank you.
And I guess, like, do you have any tips and stuff for any future dancers or people that want to break into sex work, specifically stripping and stuff like that? Because obviously there is no freaking like handbook or guide and stuff, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what I would say, I've had some girls who are interested in doing it message me before, and what I would say is the same advice that the dancer who got me started gave me, is just do it. Like, if you don't do it now, you're gonna take forever to do it. You're gonna wish that you had done it. It really is just a really great industry to be in if you want to be in it.
Yeah.
So just get started now, and then you can learn along the way. I had no experience whatsoever, really, and jumped into it and had a great time. And yeah, just do it, I guess.
That's such great advice. Thank you for that. I guess, like, before, I guess we'll close that part out of the episode, but unless there's anything you wanted to add. Any closing notes?
I don't know. I think that's good.
I asked you a ton of questions, so just fun conversation. But why don't we go into some Q&A, because there was a bunch of questions that came in from your fans. So, yeah, let's do it, and yeah, we'll kind of tackle it question by question. So, first one, I hope you stay in the public eye. Ever think to post more procedures, lips, etc.?
So I am going to keep my Instagram open. I might change my username. I haven't decided yet. Keep that going. Mm-hmm. I only get my lips done. I probably will only get my lips done. So if you want me to post about that, maybe I will. But
maybe that's a request. So
yeah, I can share where I get my lips done if you want.
Cool. If COVID-19 didn't close down everything, would you still have quit dancing? And I think you kind of went over this, but if you want to reiterate, you can.
Yeah, so I already had the plan to quit. I had a month of bookings. It was already in motion that I was going to retire. Already
in the works, guys.
Yeah.
You had a plan, you stuck to it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is a good question. What was your absolute favorite club that you danced at, and why?
That's tough. I loved a lot of them. I mean, I would probably have to say, like, the most fun and, like, family feel with the staff and everything was probably
the Five?
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. It felt really good there.
Do you have any
I'm glad that was my last booking spot. I'm glad I stuck in there.
Yes, definitely lucky about that.
Yeah.
Do you have any other honorable mentions? Because you mentioned, it's a hard question. Like, what other clubs do you want to mention? What other clubs did you have a really great time at?
I always had a good time at Shakers too. Brandy's was a really cool experience that I got to do a couple bookings there. So that was really fun working with all the girls there and seeing all their crazy shows that they do.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And it's so wild. I mean, all the clubs are so different, right?
Yeah.
Different feel, different vibe, different people.
Yeah, you definitely have like a different vibe at each club you go to, you know, like in different clientele, and just like the type of music that some people like at certain clubs is different.
Totally.
Yeah, like you can get away with playing country at Caddyshack. You cannot get away without playing that at Shakers.
No. You know, I've actually never been to Shakers. Like, what's Shakers like? That's the one in Surrey, right?
Yeah.
What's it like over there?
I don't know. It's kind of like a cool, chill vibe over there.
Cool.
I just like, and some of the regulars there. That's kind of why I would say that it's a good experience there for me. It's not always the best money club,
but the regulars really make it, you know.
They do. It makes the experience a lot better. Like when you have people that you're like excited to go say hello to and sit with and talk to, then it makes the experience good either way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Here's another question that we almost like kind of went over a little bit, but feel free to share again if you want. But what made you want to stop being a dancer, and has the transition been hard?
The reason that I wanted to stop is, I guess, probably a bit of more of a personal one. Mm-hmm. The transition has been a little bit challenging, but
in what aspect?
Like just the planning of how I'm going to
move forward.
Pardon?
Like move forward and like plan.
Yeah, pretty much just like put together my life and differently. Like before I was able to just, you know, kind of chill most of the day and then go to work and then come back, and like it was a little bit different of an experience. And now that coming back into, I guess, real life, that's not real, but you know, like the regular whatever, like
like civilian work.
Yeah, civilian type thing. Like it's different.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it's just a switching of gears, and like it's gonna take some time for you to get used to it, as like you would going into the sex industry and like going out. It's going to be all a bit of a learning curve, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a transition.
For sure. Do you think that you'll ever be a dancer again, and how do you know?
No, I think that this is the end, which is kind of sad, but for reasons that I can't really share, I just know that it's now a closed chapter.
Yeah, but a good chapter at least.
Yeah, but very, very, very good chapter.
Okay, I guess we already kind of went over this. What made you decide that it was time for you to retire? You already knew that. And I guess we'll go into the last question here. So, will you be making more money now or less money now? And how will you adjust the change? Kind of a private question, in my opinion, but
yeah, like I don't really feel like I never really spoke about how much money I made as a dancer. I'm not going to really speak on how much money what the difference is going to be.
Yeah, I think that's such a private question.
The point is, I'll be able to take care of myself if that's what you're asking.
That's awesome. I don't find that to be such an invasive question. Like, do you ever go out on the street and ask someone how much they're making? No.
No.
What's wrong with people?
Sometimes.
The bottom line is, guys, she's going to take care of herself. I mean, and generally speaking, as strippers, we usually make pretty good money, so we'll just leave it at that. So.
Yeah.
But I guess with that is the last question. So is there anything else that you wanted to add to? Any closing notes?
I don't know. I guess thank you to everyone who has supported me through the last year and a half. Oh. I appreciate all of you. Customers, staff members, club people, dancers. Like, it's been a really fun, great experience for me.
That's awesome. And congratulations again on your retirement. This is huge. Like, I'm so excited about your business as well. I'm definitely going to have to keep up. But how to keep up, basically, like, where can we find you?
So on my Instagram, I'm at More Maddy account. I might, like I said, change the username. I just haven't decided what to yet. And if I do, I'll update it on my story.
That's awesome.
Yes. So follow me and you can see what's going on.
Wait, I have one more question for you, actually.
Okay, that's fine.
I love your name, Maddy Moore. Like, how did you come up with it?
Okay, so I didn't pick this name myself. So Maddy came from one of my girlfriends. She's like, oh, you have to pick a name that starts with M, so that if someone's yelling across the room and they say like Chelsea, like you're not like, what? So I picked an M name. And then Moore, I had asked the girl who got me my first amateur night, Heather Heaven. I was like, hey, like, can you help me like pick the second part of my name, because I don't really know. And she's like, oh, like Moore would be cute, like Maddy Moore, like, you know, like Maddy Moore. I'm like, yeah, you know what, let's go with that.
That's amazing.
So that's how Maddy Moore was born.
I love it, because I was like, oh my god, her name's like Maddy Moore, and I used to love Maddy Moore growing up. That's amazing. That's so cool. And I love Heather Heaven too. She's such an amazing performer. I really want to have her on the show next. So
yeah,
we'll
she's great. She got me started in this.
There you go. Shout out. Awesome. Well, we'll definitely be able to keep up with you. And if you have any other things that you want to plug later, we can always put it in the show notes later. But that's it for today, guys. Don't forget to like, rate, share, subscribe, give me all the love. It's Strip by Sia on Instagram, as well as my personal Sia Steph. And we'll catch you guys in definitely next week. I can say this for sure. There is an episode next week as we pivot over to the Black Lives Matter movement for a couple bonus episodes there. But thank you again, Maddy, for coming on the show today and sharing your story. And I wish you all the best in all of your future endeavors. I'm so excited to hear what you have in store. And yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. See you guys. Peace. We'll see you guys next week. Bye. You're listening to Stripped by Sia, produced and hosted by Steph Sia, aka Kimchi, music by Ted D, photography by Ian Davern, and graphics by Maria Bellandrum.